There you go.
Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, people out there. My name is Sylvester Watkins, and we're tuning in to Watkins Family Values to have a discussion on current events that, of course, everybody knows what's going on right now with COVID-19, the state of the country, and how it's being portrayed on a racial front, on a political front, and any other front you can think of. I am joined by my beautiful wife, Jessica, you all know, and my best friend and brother, Van Parker.
Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
I just want to start the panel off by just asking what everybody's opinions or how they're feeling about what is happening concerning COVID-19. Me, myself, it's a serious matter. Like in the beginning, it was something that, well, okay, you thought it may be like H1N1 was during the Obama years. Like, okay, they're getting sick. But then it started to spread like wildfire in a way that nobody really imagined it would ever amount to. And we started seeing people pay attention to it more. A lot of people get scared about it. Talk to certain people, you try to calm fears and just trying to get through it yourself at the same time. But I always carry the attitude of being concerned about it, but not being consumed by it. And it's easy to be consumed by it if you're constantly watching the news, or even when you see people out in public with masks on, you're always reminded of it no matter where you go. But there are things that you can do as far as it's concerned. Everybody knows those things as far as washing your hands, social distancing, stay-at-home orders as best as possible. And it seems to be sort of flattening the curve as they've coined it. But if anybody else, Jessica, what is your opinions on it?
Well, I had a live this morning and we were talking about, or I was putting out my opinion because that's what I do. On the fact that so many people they're such in fear that they can't move, or they can't do certain things, or they're listening to the wrong things. We just heard about 45, that's what they're calling him. 45 is talking about with consuming disinfectant. I just don't understand that. How can you say this and then in the same breath, like he's always done, contradicted himself and blaming somebody else for something that he said? I just don't understand that. I don't get it. I don't get it, but then I watched it over and over and I was like, okay, this is for real. People couldn't believe that he said these things. And then to put it on somebody else, that just shows no character whatsoever. Not that you even had it from the very beginning. That's my opinion, though. But what do you have to say, Van?
Well, I mean, initially when this crisis and pandemic has just come into fruition, it pretty much took the country by storm. Of course, everybody wanted to say and blame that it came from overseas and things like that. But coming to find out that it's been around and it is impacting a lot of people. Even just coming down and classifying the terminology, should I say, of essential and non-essential. How you've just stripped certain individuals of their livelihood and you forced them to not be able to provide for their families, and yet it's just pretty much stricken the whole country in itself. Children have been forced to not even go to school, and yet and still they're talking about trying to open up what you've already shut down, and whatever the agenda may be or been, whatever the hidden reasoning behind all of this is now pretty much blown up in their faces, because now it's spreading like wildfire, and you have no cure, you have no vaccine, and yet they're talking about tests, but yet the test is not made actually available for people to actually get or have access to. I know some people personally that have been afflicted, and a lot of others that I know have had loved ones to pass from it, and it's just affecting everybody in a lot of ways. And our president, that's of this country, is really not stepping up and accepting full responsibility for lack of leadership and how he's handling this. So it's really a sad time. And you want to now try to open up things and try to restore back what is now. It's not going to be the normal. It's going to be a new normal, because you now got to have procedures in place, almost equivalent to what was like with 9/11. So, I spoke to a personal friend today in regards to what we do in officiating and with sports. And he was like, hey, do you think we'll ever get back to calling games? And I said, not this year. No, I don't see it. Because people are already panicking. People are already in fear. It's no secret, if you go to any grocery store or any store period to just get your basic supplies that normally wouldn't be difficult to get, you're finding shelves empty. You're finding lack of the necessities that most of us usually go to the stores to get, to have in our homes to take care of our needs. And you already have people that are hoarders already, but yet and still no one's not being considerate of everything. And my heart definitely goes out to the non-essential workers that has been labeled. Those are the people that pretty much were forced out of their jobs and not able to provide. So my heart truly goes out to them.
Those are all good perspectives. That's what the next question would be, is where do you see this thing from a personal standpoint in your life? Like, any pros or cons, positives or negatives, that it's exposed anything to you?
Well, I'll start off by saying this. I've been pretty much, I ain't gonna say ridiculed, but I've been questioned a lot of how I'm handling the necessary steps. And please don't get alarmed if you see us close up, like we just don't care. We care, but we're having this discussion and we're trying to make sure everybody's fit into the screen so you guys can be able to see us. But yet and still, I have a comfort level. I'm not impacted to some degree, but I'm not being just nonchalant about it either. I always respect the fact of what anyone has to do to protect themselves, to make certain that you are cautious in any regards. But at the same token, I'm not panicking like a lot of the American people are doing, because there are a lot of people that are clueless and have no idea, and then they're really just swallowing and taking in everything that 45 is saying, as well as all of the media, and you're getting a lot of misinformation and not the correct information. Then at some point, a lot of people are not asking questions, and you as an individual have to stop it for a second and ask questions, not just accept what's all being shoved down your throat and just pushed into your face and into your ears. I mean, really stop and look at the whole picture and look at this perspective. Really get a game perspective from this. Me personally, I will wear a mask just so if I feel the need with allergies and sinuses, if I'm going out. But I'm not wearing gloves. I mean, I'm still going to wash my hands. That's just a necessity. That's something that you were taught and raised as a child, and you grow up as an adult, and you should do these things. But I'm not going to lash out to anyone that is overprotective, as some people may see. I am very concerned but I'm not going to run around as a chicken with a cut off head and panic. My faith and belief is in God, that He has us, and not only that, I'm not around here just going out like most people, running around and just willy and nilly. And no, I go where I need to go. If it's my job, I go. But also, you have to have an outlet, because a lot of people are not used to being, quote unquote, imprisoned in their own homes and stripped of at least some type of outlet. Jessica?
Well, I have pros and cons. My pros are that I actually have been putting more of my mental focus on my business and my entrepreneurship, and I have finally gotten my LLC. Woohoo!
Right.
But cons, more of a pro is having my husband here with us more, and also, of course, before this even broke out, be with my daughter, having that time with her. Cons, I see just the misinformation that everybody's getting. Not getting the accuracy that they deserve as being a nation under God. But when you take God out of the equation, that's when everything goes haywire. Okay? You take God out of schools, you take God out of the whole equation, it honestly goes down the tube. Because you don't have that who's supposed to be on the very beginning of everything. Okay? And we've been here before. I have said this before. If you go back in history, back in the days, okay, we had influenza, we had all these things, we had MRSA, we had all these things. We've been here before. Okay? We've been here before. So if you have that mustard seed that says, that's something that you're supposed to have faith. You know what I mean? You have to have faith that this is going to go over. And it is. It's going to be gone. It's going to be gone. But, of course, they're saying already that there's going to be a second wave of it. And that the second wave is going to be even worse than the first one. And my belief also has to do a lot with, this pandemic taking over a 60% of... And this is a big one because it's crazy. But 60% of Black African Americans are dead because of this thing. 19% of Hispanics also dead. You know what I mean? And people are still dying. So how do you expect for us to be able to be grounded in anything that anybody else says? And on top of that, contradict himself and say, oh, yeah, well, you could take disinfectant and it'll go be gone. Or UV rays and it'll be gone. It is sad to think that people that voted for this man, now they see the truth, but there's still people out there that don't care. They don't care. They have the same mentality that he does. And it is a sad, sad thing. So, those are my pros and cons on that.
Well, pros and cons for me, I can start with the cons. The cons, honestly, on a personal level, I don't have very many. The real cons that I'm getting are from the media, politics, the political part of it. The worry, the widespread panic, the information, the constant barrage of information that's out there, and you have to decipher through what is what. I'm not saying that CNN is the best source. I'm not saying that Fox News is the best source. I think the best source is for you to personally get out there and find out information, because I've watched CNN since it started, and if people were to strictly pay attention to CNN, and they'd be scared to death. I've watched episodes of or footage from Fox News, and if you were to watch Fox News and their coverage of this thing, you'd start hating everybody. It's enough to, that in itself is enough to just make you want to quit life, period. You know what I'm saying? If you have that outlook. Because this kind of thing, it causes widespread depression, other mental illnesses that come with it. And that's just something that, as far as a con, I stay away from, and everybody else, honestly, in my opinion, should just look for alternate sources of information instead of just being influenced by one or the other. And as far as pros, there's a plethora of pros out there. If you look at what's happening with how people panic buy, that's an opportunity for you to say, okay, do I have just a little bit of land out there that I could use to grow vegetables? That's something I've actually started doing or started learning to do. I actually have some small plants back there that I'm waiting for them to germinate and stuff like that. And I'm going to learn that and keep doing that even when this thing is done. The opportunity for a lot of people to spend time with their families that they normally weren't able to do because they were so busy out there working, trying to provide. Use this time now, your quarantines, as an opportunity to know your family, because you really can get lost in the sauce when you're constantly working and you come home and you go to sleep. You wake up, go to work, come home, eat, go to sleep. And you're lulled into this false sense of identity, false sense of reality as far as your own family life. Now, you can't work. It's an opportunity to get to know your family all over again.
Yeah.
Now, I still work. My job is considered essential. I work in transportation, so I'm considered essential. But I take those opportunities to do things with my family, whether it's something as small as a TikTok video.
Right.
It's bonding.
Right.
It is. Reading books, learning information like my wife was saying, staying up and learning the skill set for her business. And if you have a skill set out there, this is a good opportunity for you to hone in that skill set, figure out how to market it, because when this thing is over, you don't know how many people are going to need your services. Your ability to solve a problem for them equals possibility of you running your own business and having an opportunity to be at home with your family all the time. And that's those are really the pros that I'll touch on at the moment. My wife just went upstairs to tuck our daughter in. So, you have any questions? Anything you want to add to it?
I'm just curious, Sly. Is when are they going to actually come forth and start to really be truthful, about what's really going on and what's the process, what's the plan, because like you said earlier, misinformation, they'll say, well, it's a fever and it's respiratory. And you gotta understand that if you don't know really, just come out and say, we don't know, But stop guessing, stop labeling, and actually, find out. Maybe you can come up with a cure or antidote or a vaccine to try to inoculate it. And as far as trying to open up things, stop trying to put people's lives in danger. I mean, there's a lot of people already lives in danger that are already sick. A lot of families are impacted. A lot of businesses have been impacted. So, I mean, really think about this when you talk about opening up, because America's not going to go back to being normal. I don't see it. I see it just as it was with 9/11. The only difference is when you start talking about going back to certain places of enjoyment, whether it's sports, shows, or whatever, it's going to have a different feel and tape, you know? And you got to have those procedures in place, you know? I officiate sports along with my other colleagues, so we're talking about interacting with youth as well as adults, and everybody's not going to feel that comfort. Yes, everybody wants to get back to the norm. All of us want to get back to, quote unquote, what we call and consider normal and the norm. But we also got to be real that a lot of the dynamics that have taken place and some of the practices, people are starting to, you know, really look at it. I mean, some people already been social distancing regardless, but now it's really finna be enforced. How are we gonna make certain that you know, your family is not impacted, because you really don't know how people are getting this disease. And stop saying, you know, for the most part, that it's coming overseas, because a lot of the people that have been sick and a lot of people that lost their lives hadn't even left the country. So stop saying that. If you're not certain, just say you don't know. Trust me, it doesn't hurt. It really doesn't. And again, if you can, just stay at home. If you're gonna have company or you go out, keep it in small numbers. And like I saw on a video earlier, don't broadcast. Stop. Don't make the country in certain states and cities have to do martial law. Then you're really, you think it's tough now that you're stuck at home and you can't go nowhere. That will be atrocious for you. That means your rights and privileges will be dictated at a certain time. It's almost like you being a child all over again. And if you think this little time frame is bad, just you know, ride it out. Like Sylvester said earlier, utilize this time to hone on your skills. If you can go to school online, or you can learn a skill trade. And for the most part, a lot of us Americans and workers, we work, and yet we don't even get to enjoy what we are working for. You know, a lot of you guys and people have homes that you don't even get to actually utilize and live in and enjoy. Take this time, you know, just relax if you can. I know that's like probably difficult with all this, but try to relax, rest, heal up, you know. You still can do things. You still can go outside. You know, don't think that you're just constricted to just being at home. You're not. You know, you just have to be smart and mindful of where you go, you know, and what you do. You know, I get ridiculed for, well, not so much ridicule, but I get teased. That's basically what it is. Well, I don't get to go play pool, which is an outlet, a great outlet of mine. However, I still can play pool, just can't play it, you know, like I would normally play. You know, there are games on our phones and tablets and computers that we can utilize. There are a lot of brain exercises, brain games. There's a lot of different things that you can do to just keep yourself active and occupied. You know, and I'm a big sports fan, but hey, you know, great thing is you can always watch classic events that have taken place and try to learn what you either missed or didn't know. So it's a lot that you can do. And then bond with your family. And then call and check on people. You know, this is a time to just slow down and just start to just check on people. Because oftentimes we're in that hustle and bustle that we don't think about anything else. We don't think about anybody else. And you should. This is a time to consider everybody, not just you and yours. Jessica.
Well, with that being said, I just saw a video, and it was with my all-time favorite DMX, and he said this phrase about just this is the time God has put forth because of the fact that everyone is home. Everyone is consuming family. God knows how to sit your butt down. Believe me, He does. Okay? And this is the time now that we are taking upon ourselves to be able to just rejuvenate. That was the word. Rejuvenation from your mind, from your body, healing, like Van said. But he said those words, and I was like, you know what? It's so true. Because He knows how to sit us down when we need to sit down. And this world has been so crazy. It's amazing how you see nature as it's supposed to be. These animals, these lions, they're just laying all over the streets. Nobody's bothering them, you know? And you see this, I see this all the time now, that, you know, the world is changing again. And it took this to be able for it to rejuvenate itself. And that is what it's doing now. And they come up with, every single day, they're coming up with new things about, you know, the animals starting to breed more. We just had the big turtles having their babies on the beach. And the babies just hatched and they just went into the ocean. You know? So everybody just needs to stay home. It is not time yet. It is not time for you to go out. Okay? Because what's going to happen is things are going to happen when everything is going to reverse again and it's going to get worse. Okay? So if you guys just forget about going out, I mean, yeah, we all are here and we are like, okay, it's time to get out. But you know what? It's not time yet. It's not time. Stay home and just take it all in. It's time to just relax and just rejuvenate and stick to the word, read the Bible. You know, the word is what's going to give you an everyday word to move forward. And when the time is right, please believe me, He will lift everything that needs to be lifted and we will be going on our little adventures again. But it's going to be different because the world is not going to be the same. It's not the same now. So it's not going to be the same. So.
On another note, I know a lot of us hopefully have received the stimulus check that 45 is signed and put into play. And if you have, please be mindful. Be mindful. Don't try to just blow it up and throw it away because you got to be mindful to start storing up and preparing because we don't know how all of this is gonna go.
Exactly.
I didn't agree with the actual number of amount because again, if you're thinking about those that are non-essential and how they were able to pay, I mean, some of you guys have a mortgage that's $1,200, and that's just that alone. We haven't even gotten to all the other necessities. So let's just be wise and mindful and take advantage in a smart way. Not go out there and say, hey, I got a free $1,200 if that's the amount you get or whatever the amount you get. Please, let's just be mindful and just try to get ahead on the bills you can. Utilize the grace periods that companies are allowing, those extensions of not paying or charging you, but you still gotta, stay on top of your stuff. This is a time to try to utilize and get back on top and do the best you can with it. And trust God, trust me, and be grateful for your blessings. Again, my condolences goes out to any family member, any person that has lost loved ones during this pandemic, with this virus going around. Definitely my heart goes out to you and your families, and that hopefully that God will console you in every way possible and wipe away your tears and give you the strength that you need to continue and carry on. But please, let's just be smart. Wow.
That was awesome. Well, before we end it, I will say, let me give a big shout out to all the first responders, all the medical care workers,
Yes.
all the people working in retail and transportation.
Yes.
But those people who we a lot of times before now considered to be non-essential, or they were kind of invisible. Those people have become the frontline fighters in this healthcare crisis. Now it's war. It's not a war. War has a target. But this healthcare crisis, and a lot of people have stepped up, putting themselves in danger to make sure that we're okay. And I just want to say thank you to those people. And for everybody out there who may be watching, who will watch, be safe. Give energy and love to your families. And keep your relationship with the Creator. If you have one, if you don't, I would look into that. That's just my personal opinion. You take it for what it's worth. It's your choice. But thank you so much for listening. Be well. Be blessed. Good night.